All right, Nick. We are. I don't want to say looking good. I feel like that's not the way I want to come into the show. But we got ourselves in a position where we're looking pretty good. 7-3, heading to the top of the ninth. Hopefully this is low stress.
What's going on, Trace? Good to see you back
back
again. Good to be back with you.
It's nice to be back. It was a long work week. I was adding up the hours last night. Not good. I mean, I don't mind working hard. Just it's a long, long week. But you know what? I took a little cat nap today, as they say. I'm feeling pretty good.
All right. Feeling refreshed.
Refreshed is the right word to use.
Like it. All right. Good stuff.
What about the Reds being dead? Being dead. Had them down and out. Some of the fan base said it was a nice season. Here we are a week later, and they're back. We're back. We're all the way back, man.
Yeah, it's like people didn't realize the season was going to be a little bit of some ups and downs along the way. When you have a team with 94 rookies, that might happen.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back, man. It's nice to also do the show out of the the home base here. Got a good chance to have uninterrupted watching of this baseball game pretty much all day. So I was locked in for most pitches. But
nice.
But anyways, how you doing? You doing all right? I hadn't seen you in a
well.
while. Reds keep winning, so I figure you're doing all right.
I enjoy doing the shows with Shay a lot. Shay is awesome. Shay's like eye for pitching is next level. But it's really nice because you do half the work, I do half the work, and so I feel a lot more comfortable.
Sure. I understand.
a lot less stress on me.
Understand. Well, also thank you for those that reached out when I was gone, and I'm happy to be back, man. So. Plan to be back for a little while. So summers are busy around Chatterbox. We got weekend events sometimes we have to go do, and part of the paying the bills process. So who are we going with? I didn't hear who we going with. Who's running out there?
Oh, they went with Levi Stout.
Okay.
Who
was in there before? Who
Sims was warming.
Sims. Okay.
Diaz was unavailable, which when we get into the Weaver, that was, I think, the biggest reason why Weaver went back out there in the fifth, because Bell knew Diaz wasn't available.
Yeah.
And,
Right. Bullpen was short.
Yeah. Look, I like going with Stout here. I mean, you got a chance to have rested Sims and Diaz against the Brewers, man. And
right.
I think this is a good gamble. It's a gamble. I think it's a good one.
Look, man. Outside of the fact that it's the last 3 outs, which is a big deal. I'm not downplaying the last 3 outs. We've heard many relievers talk about how the last 3 outs are significantly different than the rest of the game. But it's a 4-run lead, okay?
Top of the order, though. That's what.
It's a 4-run lead. We need 3 outs. I mean, let's not act like this is world-renowned achievement if we're able to hold on here and not go to someone else. I don't know where you're at in the game. You might be ahead of me. I'm guessing
I just saw him get the third.
Yeah, you're definitely a pitch ahead of me. I just seen a triple. Ball lands. Oh,
let me know.
Effort. That was a good effort.
Let me know when he gets to third.
He's rounding second. I got a terrible camera angle. Heading to third. Slides into third. Stands up on the base. Gives a old hand clap. They show in Fraley. That's a good effort by Fraley. Might as well go for it. There's no reason not to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that run's pointless.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep, that is a high IQ baseball decision if he was thinking through that.
Yeah. He damn near had that too.
Yeah, he'll just let him score. I mean.
Man, he almost had it. Good play. It's a good effort. It's a good effort. I think he actually caught it for a half second, and then it just the sheer force of the ground and obviously sliding made the ball bounce out. You know one thing I don't like now? I got to be honest. Maybe I'm an old school guy. I'm getting to be old. Old man yells at cloud type stuff again. Here I go. These managers are getting lazy with their uniforms, man. David Bell does it. The freaking the manager for the Diamondbacks out here, he's just wearing a T-shirt.
David Bell wear a hoodie when it's 95 degrees outside.
Is that a lucky? Tell me that doesn't land fair. Oh my gosh, Senzel.
We're still. I'm still a little bit ahead. Let me pause again here. Yeah,
it was foul.
Close enough. Wow, Marlins blew another lead. Phillies blew another lead. A wild card race, man.
Yeah, it's there for the taking.
Well, it's not that there's one, like there's 3 spots.
Yeah, I know. There's like 5 teams for 3 spots.
If the Reds hang on here, they'll pass one of them. Another one of them. Because the D-backs are one of them. And I think the Giants got smacked today, too.
Is Milwaukee really going to win again in Atlanta?
I don't know. We got 2 on.
Yeah, 2 on and 1 out in the top.
Ozzy Albies. I don't know if Devin Williams is going to be available or not for them. He threw like 29 pitches yesterday. And I'm sure they're also kind of wanting to save him for the Red Series, too. They're kind of in the same boat.
Yeah. Listen, let's not walk guys, Nick, okay? If they're going to beat us, let's make them just absolutely smash the ball around the yard. I get they're good, but strikes, my man. Yeah, that's right down the middle. I'd do another one. 96 right down the middle. Nah, I'll live with it.
There's no difference between a home run and a walk.
Nope.
No difference.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Oh! 3-run home run, Ozzy Albies.
I thought something happened in our game. I'll take it. That's big.
Let's go. It's 4-2 Braves.
Do we need to do? Yeah. I tell you what, the ghost of Luke Dreamweaver. Yeah, he's got a great point in the chat, folks. We do need likes. We need them quick too. We need an out. That's an out. Oh, he's right. It was a ball, but it was a good pitch, though. Can't say it wasn't a good pitch. It's all right, Levi. You're a ground ball away.
Albies. Sorry, I gotta focus on the game we're covering. Well, I guess Devin Williams probably isn't going to pitch the 9th now.
He's got one more hitter, by the way. Levi does.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
Sucks.
It was a good gamble, but man, when it doesn't work out, it just feels so awful.
Well, it sucks for David because David's in a lose-lose situation. If Levi goes out there and he gets the 3 outs, then nobody gives him credit for doing it. At some point, your damn guys need to go out there and get outs for you. I mean, I'm not trying to defend David tooth and nail no matter what, but seriously, man, like
he needs more relievers.
Yeah, if ever
I've been saying this. Everyone complains about the starters. He needs more relievers. He needs more depth. These dudes are getting worn out. It's 8 times in 14 games.
Yeah, if we're gonna have to go out in the 5th inning and get our starters every single time, then he does need no more relievers.
I don't even know if it's just a Weaver problem. I mean, I think the Reds are going to have a lot of young starters that aren't going to go that
That's
deep
a really good pitch, Nick.
Yeah.
97 just right there, dotted on the corner. Nice pitch.
Of course he goes and strikes out Corbin Carroll.
Yeah.
This game is so stupid.
A high slider. A high slider that didn't slide. You see that? A little cement mixer he threw up there in the top of the zone.
Hey, at least he threw a strike. Corbin Carroll was probably surprised he threw a strike.
Yeah. That reminds me of one of my all-time. Damn, he's bringing him out. He ain't even messing around.
No, you can't at this point. I mean, it's you don't want Sims.
Can't?
Well, you don't want Sims to have no wiggle room. Like you don't want him to be facing the tying run. I think.
Understand.
I like that part of it, but.
I just thought he was gonna. I mean, you gave him the chance to face. Well, he had to face Carroll, but he struck Carroll out, and it's like, okay, let's let it ride. He's only given up 1 hit, and he walked a guy on 3-2. That's my. I mean, I get it. I'm not here to downplay it.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't here.
It all comes down to how much you value being able to use Sims tomorrow. And clearly, Bell. Here's the wild thing about it. Here is the genuine wild thing about it is that, you know, you lose today, and the chances of you losing with a 4-run lead in the ninth, no matter what you do, you'd like to think isn't very high. But if you were to blow this game and the Brewers were to lose, it's the same thing as winning today and the Brewers winning today, and then you losing tomorrow. So
it'd be funny if David looked up and saw the out of town scoreboard and said, all right, now I'm getting Sims in.
Yeah,
I'm not messing around.
I don't know. I mean, you would think that shouldn't matter, but I don't. I've heard of crazier stuff. I don't know.
All right, Lucas.
I'll tell you what. What about Matt McClain?
That play he made earlier, man, he's special. He is special.
He just his at bats are. He's just a great player. Alex is saying, Trace, what are you smoking? I'm not saying we're not trying to win the game, man. I'm saying we're trying to save Lucas Sims for tomorrow for sure. And Levi didn't, I mean. Levi didn't look that bad. Gave up one hard hit ball.
Tell you what, how big was that 8th inning, though, man? You know, when you got a chance to add on these runs, you know, and that's.
Well, they all matter.
Huge.
The other point I want to add too is like it's not like Lucas Sims. And listen, I respect Lucas. I think he's a great arm, but it ain't like Lucas Sims is like Mariano Rivera either. It's not like we can you can't guarantee me that he's not going to come in and not be able to throw strikes.
That's why I think he, you know, before you risked the tying run coming to the plate.
Yeah, you want to give him a mulligan? Trying to give him a breakfast ball, the first tee.
Yeah, I mean, I seriously think that's probably it is, line of thinking there.
Yeah. It's a good point, David. I think David Brown brings up a good point in the chat. I'm not going to say it on air, but I think sometimes fans make a lot about a lot of things, and the truth is that you're either a good baseball player or you're not. Pretty sure that if Barry Bonds hitting the 1 hole, 2 hole, 3 hole, 4 hole, 5 hole, 6 hole, whatever hole you wanted to put Barry Bonds in, I'm pretty damn sure he was going to produce. Now I know that's taking it to the extreme, but you get my point.
I think it's a fair point.
God, I just want one day, one game, like just walk down here and this stuff. Brother. Can't walk guys. You walk 2 guys in this inning. It's just, they put the ball in play one time. Now this sounds wild to say, but I know that, you know, are we sinking and swimming with Sims here no matter what?
I think Diaz is straight unavailable.
I know, but I mean, if he can't,
who's even left? Alex Young.
I'd rather have someone that can throw the ball across the plate if he gets to where he walks 2 or 3 guys in a row right here.
We got any lefties coming up?
Maybe I'm being like, listen, he's a ground ball away from getting out of this inning too. So let's not act. I don't want to sit here and be the super negative guy. He's a ground ball away from being out of this. How about that? There's a ground ball.
Oh,
there's a ground ball.
One.
Holy smokes.
Let's go. Let's go.
Folks, the Reds are back. And so are we. Nick, let's do a show. How sweet it is on a Sunday afternoon. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this Reds team, Nick. I know that we've done this song and dance time again on this show. But the truth still stands. The Reds win 7-3. They sweep the Arizona Diamondbacks, a very good Arizona Diamondback team, I might add. And as soon as you thought this team might be down and out, Nick, here they come. They resurrect again. They're like the Undertaker, maybe. I don't know if you're a wrestling guy, but is that a decent analogy? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But, hey, what a week for the Cincinnati Reds, Trace. Good to have you back. Good to be back.
That's right.
Reds back. Beat Milwaukee. Let's go.
Well, you'd think we'd get lucky at some point and just beat them. I mean, maybe that's the optimistic viewpoint of my brain, but it's like, we can't be that bad against Milwaukee all year long. We're going to go into Milwaukee and we're going to find a way to get just luck into a win or two. We'll see. We'll find out. But the good news is we're going up there and not a do or die situation. That's probably the most optimistic thing that we could have asked for. What would it be, a week and a half ago? About a week and a half ago, I think if you'd have told us we were going to go into Milwaukee with a chance to, to take back the division if we only won possibly 2 games. We'll see how that ends up. I don't know if you got the scoreboard watching going on. But anyway, Nick, glad to be back. I hope you're doing well. I know we talked about that off the air there a little bit before, but you're scoreboard watching right now. And what do you got so far for your Atlanta versus Milwaukee situation?
Well, Braves just got out of a big jam in the 8th. We're going to the 9th. Braves 4, Brewers 2.
I love it. I tell you what, when I was gone, I didn't have any cell phone service when I was gone. Where I was at, the event I was doing, it was little to nothing. It's hard to keep up with the Reds at all. I did the first night come back, and I did watch the game on replay. And the offense, it is nice to see them come back to life a little bit, remind us of the old team that we used to see. And for as much as people wanted to make out the last week and a half of being the Cincinnati Reds team that we all thought was coming. Oh, there they are. We knew they were going to come around. You hear all the rumblings like this is the 64-5 win team that we all thought we were going to have. It's nice to see that that's actually the anomaly and the base of who we are is the team that we've seen the last few days and what we also seen for about a month and a half to 2 months before that. So, I'm not saying I hit the panic button, but I was probably a lot closer than you were. But I'm just happy. The fact of the matter is the Reds are good. That's it. The Reds are a good team.
Yeah, about 2.5 more months to go to get 10 more wins to reach that over-under for the season. So,
yeah, that over-under is long gone. We're done. We've done moved past that. I'm not even worried about that over-under. It's something that we shouldn't even talk about because that over-under at this point is a joke.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, come on. There's no way. I mean, whatever. I'm a big Jinx guy, so I can't do it, but you know what I'm saying. Box score recap. You got one in you?
Oh, I got one in me. Let's go. All right. Top of the first, Luke Weaver. He got out of the first inning. He had a first and third jam, but was able to get out of it without allowing a run. And then the bottom of the first, Elly De La Cruz, he made his off day yesterday count. He led off with a 407-foot bomb, 110.7 off the bat, 1-0 Reds. Bottom of the second, Nick Senzel getting a rare start, sort of against a right-handed pitcher. It was a bullpen day for the D-backs. Nick Senzel did his job, hit a 2-run home run, 388 feet. That made it 3-0 Reds. Luke Weaver pitched pretty well through the first 4 innings, but it didn't go as well the third time through the order in the fifth. He gave up a leadoff single to the Diamondbacks leadoff hitter. Then he got the hot-hitting Ketel Marte to hit a weak grounder to the right side in between Weaver and Steer. Steer playing first base today, fielded it, airmailed the throw, probably had no play, but that did allow a run to score. And then the next batter, Corbin Carroll, hit a 2-run home run off Weaver. And just like that, it was a tie ball game at 3. Weaver allowed a double and then entered Buck Farmer, who got out of that inning with the game tied at 3. And Trace, the Reds bullpen, would not allow a run the rest of the day. Just another day in the office for the Reds bullpen. Bottom of the 6th, Jake Fraley, RBI double off a lefty, put the Reds back in front 4-3. And then the bottom of the 8th, Reds got some much-needed insurance runs. Christian Encarnacion-Strand capped off that inning, a 3-run inning for the Reds with a double. That put the Reds up 7-3. And like mentioned, the Reds bullpen, another solid day. Buck Farmer, scoreless inning. Derek Lull, scoreless inning. Ian Jabot, perfect inning, 2 strikeouts. Fernando Cruz, perfect inning, 2 strikeouts. Levi Stout and Lucas Sims a little shaky the ninth, but somehow neither allowed a run. They Diamondbacks had the bases loaded and couldn't score. Your Cincinnati Reds now 55-46. This is their 5th 5-game win streak of the season, their most since 2012. This is the Reds' 8th sweep of the season, their most since 2013. Reds' first sweep of the Diamondbacks since 2012. First sweep of the Diamondbacks at GABP since 2007. And as mentioned, we are monitoring the situation in Milwaukee where the Braves are up 4-2 on the Brewers. If the Braves can hang on, Reds will be a half game out going into a big series against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Big time. Big time. You know what else we have? We had another deep fly. Who do we use? It's got to be Nick Senzel.
Elly did.
You're going to go with Elly. Okay. Hit me with the Elly.
Well, Ellie's was the deepest.
All right.
407 feet. It actually was his second hardest hit ball of the day. He had another ball hit harder. No surprise.
Launch angles are surprising. All right, the deep drive of the day is sponsored by Deep South Commodities. And DSE is a leader in renewable commodities for Trace is thinking right here. Let me reread this. DSE is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collections, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thank you to our friends at Deep South Commodities. Yeah, I mean, listen, I thought you might go with Nick Senzel. I didn't know. We should go with the farthest. That should be the standard for Deep South Commodities because that's the deepest. However, the biggest home run was Nick Senzel.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was
big moment in the game.
Get more runs usually matters more, but that's here nor there. One thing I want to try to do on the fly here, because why not? We do, we try to, what's the right term to use here? We try to do things on this show that we probably shouldn't try to do live. We'll talk through this as I try to do this. I was going to try it for the first time, and it's not looking like it's going to work, so there's that. For those that haven't checked it out, I know I've talked about this before. I even brought it up to you, Nick. And maybe I'm like a nerd or a fanboy for this, but I'm telling you, the game day, 3D game day on MLB.com is just really neat and cool. So I was going to try to put that up on the screen while we talk through this so people could kind of see what was going on in that game, but I don't know if I'm that good. So Dreamweaver, let's get into it. Not so dreamy often in one inning. I'm not sure if that's just it's happened too much, Nick, now to where I told you this before. I feel like for the longest time, people thought I was, oh, you're a big Dreamweaver stan. You're like, why are you sticking up for this guy? It's like I stuck up for him because I felt like there were times where he looked like he had the stuff to like be better than anybody else that we wanted to go out and get, or there was someone else on the option. It's like, do you really want to go after this guy when this guy, like, I mean, I get that he gives up one bad inning, but it's like at some point that's going to go away, right? Right? And after like the third or fourth one, Nick, I started thinking to myself, like, I can't just sit here and keep defending this. I think at this point, I'm safe in my own belief that Luke Weaver is just the guy that's going to give up. He's going to have a blow-up inning. It might be in the first inning, might be in the fifth inning. If you dare to try to run him out in the sixth and seventh, it's going to happen at some point. It feels like watching baseball over the course of my life that shouldn't be the case, because that's just not how the game works. But for Luke, for whatever reason, that seems to be the case. And today, let's be fair, it was a pretty good start. Like, it wasn't you 3 runs. I mean, I know he didn't get through the fifth, and I'm not defending him, by the way. I'm off the defending of Luke Weaver, so don't send me any hate mail. Thank you. Your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, I got a loaded several thoughts on Luke Weaver. I think that the Reds do at some point need to move him out of the rotation. I think when, obviously there's guys that are coming back. Obviously the trade deadline's in 7-8 days at this point, so you're getting close there. I'm not entirely sold that there is a better in-house option right now. You saw Levi Stout in the 9th inning. Are we sure that he's going to be better than Luke Weaver? I know like Brett Kennedy pitched pretty well, but are we really sure that Brett Kennedy is going to come up and pitch better? So I don't know right now if there's necessarily a better in-house option as a starter. That's my first thought on kind of where he's at as a starter. I do still think Luke Weaver could be a valuable pitcher for the Reds. I think as you get later in the year, I think you're going to need a guy to give you 2-3 innings out of the bullpen, and I think Luke Weaver could do that. Only going through the order 1 or 2 times. I think he could pitch fairly well in that role. I do see Connor Phillips, but again, the Reds aren't going to rush Connor Phillips for a short-term game, and I don't think he's there yet. And then my last thought on Luke Weaver today is I know everyone was so upset, and I get it. If this was like a elimination game, you're not letting Luke Weaver face the Diamondbacks the 3rd time through the order, but it's a 162-game season. This bullpen is getting exhausted. I mean, they had to use a lot of relievers today. You're going to a big series against the Brewers. It's a tough balancing act of trying to get the extra outs when you can versus also trying to win games. I mean, Ian Jabot, like I mentioned, he's pitched 8 times in 14 games. I mean, these guys are going to get exhausted. The Reds are going to need some additional bullpen help. I think they should be looking for bullpen help at the trade deadline as much as, if not more than, starting pitching. So I really don't fault Bell. You can call me,
right,
a stand for him, but he used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 relievers today. I mean, right. You can't keep doing that over and over and over again. You got to try to get some extra outs here and there.
I'm with you. I mean, I'm with you wholeheartedly. I don't know how you could fault David Bell for, like, the guy was throwing shutout baseball. He's throwing shutout baseball. And I heard Cowboys say, "Oh, we're getting ready to run out of luck." It felt that way. I could understand that too. I'm not naive to think that you can't admit that you could start to feel the wheels falling off a little bit from Luke, but you can't just assume that, because you could say the same thing about Graham Ashcraft the other night, right, Nick? Like, Graham Ashcraft was struggling, and he got lucky, and he got a hard hit baseball that turned into a double play, and the next thing you know, he went out in the next inning, which I think was the 6th inning, and he went 1 through 3, a perfect inning. So it's not always, oh, just because a guy's struggling, the next inning he's doomed and he's going to 100% get hit hard. I don't blame David Bell for trying to steal an inning right there, especially if you knew Diaz on the back end wasn't available. Like, that seems like an obvious good play to me. We'll see if this works. I don't know if it will or won't, but that's here nor there. Might have to check. You might have to take out the name graphics in the bottom, but at least the people can kind of see the game here. But anyway, my point is that if we want to be critical of David Bell, let's at least be fair. That's all. Let's at least be fair. I don't think it's fair to be critical of David Bell today and say that, he should have seen that coming. That's a little too harsh for my liking. But anyway, am I being too difficult for that? Am I being a pushover now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, again, you're gonna have to steal some outs at some point. You can't run all your
Right.
relievers into the ground. I mean, yeah, he ended up having to do it, so it didn't matter. But
Right.
I don't know. It's a tough. I really think that bullpen management is incredibly difficult for managers to try to do throughout a season.
Yep.
I think almost all of us, if we were trying to manage a bullpen, we would run out of pitchers by the end of May. Like, it's, because we want to just, go here and go there.
Right.
It's tough. It's a tough game.
It is. I mean, at the end of the day, David Bell led his team to a victory, so I'll give him his credit. Ellie, Nick Senzel, obviously the two guys that went deep. Ellie's Ellie. I don't know what else there's to say about Ellie. I think there's a select handful of people that are going to always be concerned over what he looks like and what he should be just because of the hype that came with him. But for the most part, he's a rookie. I want to remind everybody the kid's like 21 years old. You're not going to come in and be an MVP per se the entire time. Did I overreach a little bit and say he's the greatest baseball player I've ever seen? Maybe a little bit, but at the same time, what I meant by that to a small extent, Nick, is like his skill set, his tools are so ridiculous. They're so ridiculous that it is going to be very hard for him, barring an injury, to be bad at baseball. It just is. His talent alone will supersede most things that you could run into on the baseball field as a problem. His speed being maybe the biggest one. But
he's hitting the ball hard lately. He had 2 hard hit balls today. The other day he had 4 hard hit balls, but he only have like 1 hit to show for it. He's definitely, 2 balls hit over 110 miles an hour today. I believe a hard hit ball is 95. So those were hard hit balls plus.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, look, he's 769 OPS, and he's had like these over 20 stretches in there. He's going to be fine. Is he going to be the best player on the planet this year? Probably not. Can he still be the best player on the planet in a couple years? Absolutely. I feel just as confident now as in that possibility as I did 2 months ago.
Right. And here I am. I'm trying to give the people like a chance to see something here, and I'm doing it in the fly. All right. Nonetheless, I'd like to get down a little bit lower, Nick, so people can see what's going on in this game, but that's here nor there. I'll figure it out as I get along. I know this probably isn't the most riveting thing for a podcast in the morning, but you know what? If you don't ever try, then you don't get anywhere in life. How about that? So let's see if I can't do this. Will that help? That's all. There we go. All right. I think that does everything for the people that might want to care and watch that game. We got 2 outs, right, Nick? Is that what we got?
2 outs. Yep.
2 outs.
You're a little bit ahead of me. So
2 outs, nobody on. There we're at. All right.
Raisel Iglesias on the mound.
Great closer. All right, Nick. Where do we go from here? Outside of Nick Senzel, I guess that's the next point to be made here. He's somehow Barry Bonds against left-handed pitching. I don't. Is this a fluke or is this just who he is? And I also would like to say out loud, I don't think that you trade him. Largely based off the fact that if he's going to play this well against left-handed pitching, he's not somebody that I wouldn't mind him sitting on the bench and sitting around. And he's accepted this role too. Let's not forget that. Like, he's accepted this role. He's not been a cancer in the clubhouse because of him not getting to play a whole lot. I think he's accepted where he's at in this roster. Unless you think Stuart Fairchild and or I guess Kevin Newman are better options than Nick Senzel, then he's probably a guy you'd like to have on your bench come, I don't want to say meaningful baseball, but playoff time baseball. Yes or no? Am I overthinking this?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to build a playoff team, you want players like Nick Senzel in your roster. I like what you said. I think it's a good point that he has accepted this role well. I mean, this is a number 2 overall pick that is in a complete platoon role on the poor side of a platoon spot. And yeah, he's accepted it well. He's done well with that role. I think the home run today was against a righty though. So, I mean, even, I guess, more credit to him. But, look at that.
Yeah, we're half game back. that right?
Half game back, which is basically a full game back, but if
So
we're
you
half
say
game
that.
up to,
You say that, and I wanted to bring that up the next time you said that. It's really a game and a half back. And I know you say that half game doesn't matter, but you still have to win or lose that last half game. One of them has to win or one of them has to lose. I don't know who has more. Off the top of my head right now, I don't know who has more games, but it's really 1.5. Because the Reds, if the Reds are still a half game back and they're going to tie, then they would have to actually win in order for them to actually, it's still, the half game still matters until you play the same amount of games. Am I off on that?
and this is really in the weeds here. I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter at this point. I guess we'll worry about this in the last week of the
We
last
just
few
need
days
to
of the
remember.
season.
We just need to remember we lose the tiebreaker.
Correct.
So
We're not tying them.
that's the most important piece of information there is if the two teams end up tied.
Correct.
And also worth noting is so the Diamondbacks, the Reds can't lose the head-to-head tiebreaker now with the Diamondbacks. Now, if they got swept in that series against Arizona, then it goes to whatever the next tiebreaker is. I don't even want to go there. But the Giants, Reds are 2-2 against them. Reds did lose to the Phillies. Reds have won 2 or 3 against the Marlins, but still have 3 more. So those tiebreakers could end up being, those head-to-head matchups could end up having a little extra importance because it's very likely a lot of these teams that are probably all kind of close together, 2 of them could end up tied at the end of the year.
The wild card is something that we didn't really discuss a whole hell of a lot most of this year because it didn't seem like it made sense to discuss because it felt like it was a win the division or bust. We weren't probably going to be a team that was going to be record-wise good enough to compete within a wild card. And at this point, it's safe to say that that's no longer the case. Now, I think that we had those thoughts largely before we won 12 games in a row, which is safe to say that that's probably fair on our end not to assume that this baseball team was going to win 12 games in a row. However, now it's a 5-team race for 3 spots. 6 teams, I guess, if you want to count the Brewers.
Well, and the big additional thing to that is, barring something crazy happening, we're not expecting the Mets and Padres to be in those teams, which those teams on paper are significantly better teams than the Reds. Let's call it what it is there. But it looks like the Mets are going to be selling off their team here in a week. The Padres, who knows what they're going to do, but the fact that it's the Marlins and the Giants and the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, the teams you're competing with, makes you go, okay, yeah, maybe that actually is a little more realistic than if you're competing against a team that's paying $50 million for a starting pitcher this year.
Yeah, I mean, they swung and missed, and I know that there's this debate on, you obviously can't just spin your way to winning a championship. And you can also be like a team like the Reds and compete with little to no money being spent in meaningful positions. And I get the Griffey contract and I get the Votto contract, but those contracts in and of itself aren't meaningful to this team is what I'm getting at. So I know that there's still money on the books per se for the Reds. However, no money that they're spending right now that's of any significance is really going towards something that's going on towards the field of play. The truth is, though, is the truth lies far, far more in the middle. But the main point I wanted to bring up in this is that we need to thank our lucky stars that Cohen and the Mets weren't able to just suspend themselves to a championship. Because the game of baseball in and of itself would have been in real trouble, real trouble, if this was a success. If what Cohen did worked this first year, and it just was like, you know what? If you're a billionaire and you just love your team, you could spend as much money as you want, and it doesn't matter how good Nick Krall is. It doesn't matter the moves that all these small market makes. It doesn't matter any of that. You could just outspend them and make more money, and ultimately, at the end of the day, win more games. Now, I'd like to say, before we get too far into the beaten path and just acting like money doesn't work, more times than not, it helps significantly. Let's not say that it doesn't. But I am thankful that what the Mets didn't, I guess, to a certain extent, result in immediate success, because then it would force the hands of more billionaire owners, and it would turn the game of baseball, into my opinion, into something that sports really isn't about. And the NFL's done figured it out. We've talked about this at length before the year, and I don't want to get into it on the show, but I just want to bring up a point that we should be very, very thankful that the Mets did not have success this year. Because if anything, it will deter a lot of these big ownership groups from doing that. That's my main point. Is like, you know what's funny? It still could work, Nick. It just didn't work this year for the Mets. So maybe it scares everybody away and says, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go spend, millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, signing 49-year-old, and I being a little facetious. I don't know, no offense to Verlander. Or Scherzer or any of those guys, but you go out and spend $1 billion on guys that are 50 years old, it might not always work out.
I would counter a little bit, though, and say I kind of want the Cubs to go out and spend recklessly. I kind of want them to almost, maybe not go as far as the Mets did, but I want them to, because if the Cubs sign bad contracts, that's a way that they can kind of even the scales. Yeah, spending money does matter. Like you look at the Dodgers and Braves, they're both up near the Braves are both over $200 million in payroll. But there's a big difference between them and teams like the Angels and the Mets, because the Braves and Dodgers both have a lot of young, cheap players mixed in with those big contracts, whereas the Mets and Angels don't have a lot of good impact, young, talented players that are making, Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain money. So the path is it's pretty obvious to me. It's the Braves path, where you have a lot of good, young, cheap players, and then you also spend a little bit of money around them, and that's what the path to success is. All payrolls are not created equal. You could spend $120 million, and you could spend $220 million, and the team that's spending $120 million that has all these cheap players that are making the league minimum, you're going to have a much better team than that team that's signing a bunch of Mike Moustakas to fill out your roster.
Yeah, but the sustainability of what's going on right now, and a little bit of a micro level, I guess my point is I don't know how sustainable it is. If you're going to spend that much money, okay, at some point, Nick, you're going to run the damn place. The Dodgers are going to be proof of that here at relative. They've already been proof of that to a certain extent. And you could be smart and spend money, and and I think it takes both. But my main point is let's not sit here and act like Nick Krall is going to be able to forever just outsmart every team in the league. And I'm not just using Nick Krall as the only example. There's many general managers across baseball. Billy Beane was trying to do it for years, but Billy Beane never won a World Series either. And I get that to be fair, I've said it many times, I don't think that you can hang all of your success on winning a World Series. That's a dumb way to look at how good a franchise is in general, because I think that the playoffs, for the most part, is a little bit of a crapshoot. The best team doesn't always win, so you can't just say that, well, you didn't win a World Series, then you just didn't pan out. I don't like that. I don't like that argument. However, I am just openly saying that Major League Baseball has a little bit. They don't have a little bit of an issue. They do have an issue with spending. They do have an issue with inequities in regards to the size of the market and the ability for teams to be able to go out and sign players. The Cincinnati Reds are going to run into a situation, and again, we don't need to really worry about this for quite some time, and maybe we should never worry about it. But the truth is if the Mets had Ellie De La Cruz, or the Dodgers had Ellie De La Cruz, or Matt McClain, or any of these guys, and they were very successful, and you wanted to extend them, it doesn't matter. They can extend them. It doesn't matter. It's not going to stop them from going out and getting somebody else, is my point. And that's my main concern about Major League Baseball in general, is you can say, well, you can skin reckless. It doesn't matter. Just because the owner loses a little bit of money, Nick, that's the only thing that matters. The same argument that you make about us signing Lance Lynn, which is hilarious, is the same argument I would make for the Mets. Oh, it doesn't matter that they lost money, because the guy's got more money in his back pocket that he'll just pull out and spend again. So at some point, it will catch up to Major League Baseball. So we'll see. We'll see how it ultimately winds up. I'm not suggesting that it's a huge pandemic right now, but let's move forward. So we got the bullpen, and you put Jabot on here in specific, and I think that's fair, because Jabot has caught a lot of strays, it feels like, and he's been relatively solid. You know why he's caught strays, though, is because he's given up some home runs in some big spots. And the biggest one that I can remember is probably the Braves and Olsen. And you know what's funny about that, Nick? I think that was actually a pretty damn good pitch.
Probably one of his better pitches this year. But no, I mean, Javo's got a 3.06 ERA. I mean, he's really looking good. It looks like he's really found it here late in the year. I saw, forgive me for not knowing who pointed it out, but maybe it was Matt Wilkes pointing out about how his strikeouts have really climbed up of late. He's missing a lot more bats lately, so that's huge for him, because he was kind of a guy that you brought in the upside with him was that he was a strikeout pitcher, that he could get some strikeouts. Yeah. And then early in the year, he really wasn't getting any. And of late, I mean, it feels like almost every other time he's come out, he's striking out 2 or 3 batters. So, yeah, good for him. And I mean, man, Fernando Cruz looked awesome too today. He could have been on the graphic just as well. Man, when Cruz is good, Cruz is good. Cruz is bad, Cruz is bad. But hey, that's kind of what I mean. You accept that as your 4th, 5th, 6th option out of your bullpen.
Yeah, and I think that you bring up a good point before the game ended, that the Reds do need to probably add a few arms in the bullpen. I've said that. I think I don't want to say I was the first one beating that drum, but I do think that that's the easier of the two routes. When you go into look at starting pitching and you go in to look at the bullpen depth, it's going to be a lot easier to find bullpen guys than it will be to find starters. And I'm not suggesting that. Well, I guess I am. I wouldn't hate if they decided to start throwing openers for our 5th starter. And then if we were to make the postseason, you could make the argument that if everything goes relatively well, we don't need to worry about that 5th spot anymore, because we're going to be able to hopefully have the cavalry back in order, right? And we can go through this again, but I would if everyone was healthy right now, Nick, if we played a dumb little game, it's got to be Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft. This isn't in order, by the way. Abbott, and who am I missing? Williamson? I guess it's Williamson.
Yeah. Well, you only need 3 starters for the first round. It's a 3-game series.
Yeah. If we're throwing Williamson, we've overachieved significantly.
Yeah.
So, do we have to get a starter? Do we have to get a starter? Is what I'm getting. That's the question of the day. Do we have to get a starter?
I think if a guy like Lance Lynn falls in your lap that you can obtain for without giving up prospects, yes, add him and still add relievers. I think because let's say a lot of people have talked about Lucas Giolito. Okay, so you go out and you trade some of your best prospects for Lucas Giolito, but then your bullpen starts cracking. Doesn't really matter if you get Lucas Giolito if right. You're blowing 2 or 3 games a week out of your bullpen because your bullpen's just so exhausted at the end of the year. So that's where I would like to see the Reds do. I would like to see them look to add a depth type starter, and then legitimately look to add 2 or maybe even 3 relievers to this bullpen. And if you have to send my guy Fernando Cruz down until someone else gets hurt and to call him back up, you have to have Duarte at AAA, and that's great. Have those guys there as depth, so you're not calling up whoever's behind them.
Yeah.
Or all due respect to Mr. Karcher, you're not calling him back up unless things really, really go sideways.
You know what's weird about this team? And I thought about this yesterday when I was just obviously without service. And maybe I'm weird about this, but I want to lose with the guys that got us here. You know what I'm saying? I want to dance with the girl that I brought. It's like I don't want to get in the postseason and have guys that we did not rely on all year long to be the guys that we're putting in leverage situations and they blow the game for us. You know, like I'd almost that's more of just a psychological and something that shouldn't matter to me. But I genuinely would rather run out Williamson in a playoff game than Giolito and give up prospects for him and then watch him kid show, shit the bed, and have to live with that. I'm just saying, I would much rather do that than to sit here and just take flyers on guys. I seen the Trevor Bauer comment, and listen, I tweeted the picture about Trevor Bauer months ago. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing any of this stuff because it's like, why do we need to do that? And I know people are going to kill me for saying like it shouldn't matter. This year is house money. And if you want to argue with me about how every year is the same and since we have a chance, we shouldn't treat it any differently. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. I believe that there are certain times in your franchise, specifically when you should be super aggressive and when you should just say, you know what, this is who we are this year. Let's see how it plays out. Because the truth is we don't have answers for a lot of these guys. Williamson, and I know that I'm going above and beyond in saying this, Williamson, if you keep giving him runway, and I know I'm being overly optimistic about this, you know what? Williamson might end up being a great starter. He might end up being a great starter. We don't know yet. So I'm not rushing to go in and trading prospects for something I don't know what I'm getting in return in general over a short sample size. You know what I'm saying? You can get, Nick, whoever we get is going to be with us for a month and a half. They're not going to play, more than likely, what is on the back of their baseball card. It might be great, but it also might be really bad. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, Brennan Williamson's been awesome. Those last 4 or 5 starts out. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not in a rush to move him out of the rotation anytime soon. But
all right. We do have some Reds in my LB. The Brewers is on here. I'll handle the Brewers real quick. They're not that great of a baseball team. And you know what? It's time for us to go up there and take care of them. They're not great. Are they good? Yeah, they're good. They're no better than we are. I'll say it again. Clip it up, Milwaukee. The Brewers are not better than the Reds. They're not. Does it mean that they've... Yeah, you've whipped our ass plenty of times. All right? You've been the better man so far. But I'm telling you, we play 100 times. You're not winning more than 50 games. All right. Reds MILB.
Not a whole lot going on yet. Louisville plays at 6. Chattanooga just about to get underway. Daytona, they were supposed to play a doubleheader that started at 2 today, but they are still in a rain delay, I guess, down there. But the Dayton Dragons, they did play today, and they walked off Wisconsin 6-5. Edwin Arroyo had a walk-off single, 3 for 5 today with the double. Jay Allen 1 for 3 with the double as well for your Dayton Dragons. So big win for the Dragons today. I think they got to 500 today too as well. So congrats to them. They had really been struggling, but I think they've won 3 in a row. Here's what we got. Game 1, Graham Ashcraft against Colin Ray. Ray's worst start of the year was against the Reds, and the last time that he faced them, the Reds' only win against the Brewers in that 6-game stretch that they just played. But Graham Ashcraft, he's been awesome. Last 4 starts, he's got a 1.82 ERA, just through 6 innings of 1-run ball against the Brewers his last time out. So let's hope Graham Ashcraft can keep it rolling. Is this a series, Trace? Just win 1 out of 3? Are we going to say that again?
Nope. I'm bringing positive energy this time. I'm done with Milwaukee. I'm sick and tired of them. I've watched their team walk into Great American Ballpark, crawl into Great American Ballpark, run into Great American Ballpark, and steamroll us. I'm sick and tired of it. We're not doing it this time. We're not doing it. We're showing up in Milwaukee, and we mean business. We're walking up in there. We're going to take their cheese curds. We're going to eat them, and we're going to leave with all their beer. They're going to bring home some... Where's it at? Right there. They got plenty of it up there, and we're going to bring it all back home to us. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about how the Brewers have a good pitching staff. Yeah. I know. I've heard it. I've seen it. I've watched it. All right? Burns, pretty good arm. But he's, you know who he's not? He's not Cy Young, damn it. We don't need to make him look like he's Jesus out there on the mound. And by God, we're not going to this time. We're going to steamroll him. So I asked the poll question. What are the Reds going to do? Are we going to sweep them? Are we taking 2 or 3? Or is the game going to get rained out with a dome? One of those 3 things are going to happen. Nothing else happens besides one of those 3 things. We're either going to win 2 games out of 2, or we're going to win 3 games out of 3. Or we're going to win 2 or 3. That's the facts. I'm speaking into existence. I need all of Reds Nation to believe in that. And likes is a part of that, by the way. We've done a terrible job on this show. I've done a terrible job leading you. We got 88 likes right now going into the Milwaukee series. We got like 300 people in this chat. We need more likes. All right. End of rant. Jake Fraley, by the way, I want to bring up a good point. I think it's a good point. Jake Fraley made a great defensive play today that saved a run, and he overall had a really good game. That's it.
Yeah, Jake Fraley's a good player. Rest of the series, Abbott Burns on Tuesday. Brewers just announced their starters. They hadn't announced it until after the game started today. But Abbott Burns on Tuesday, and then Lively Peralta. Peralta's been struggling a little bit outside of against the Reds on Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know. I like the matchups for the Reds. I like Abbott, going up against Burns.
Correct.
I like tomorrow's matchup. I think that's, probably tomorrow feels like the one game that the Reds kind of really need to get in that series.
We'll take them all. We're going to take them all. That's the attitude we're going to have, and until they show us otherwise. Ben Lively is going against Peralta on Wednesday. For those that are asking about I seen someone in the chat just asked what the matchups were. Obviously, Nick Ashcraft versus Arroyo. Then we got Burns against Abbott, and then on Wednesday we have Lively against Peralta. So, without further ado, who, what, when, where, and why tomorrow, Nick?
Yeah, Ashcraft versus Ray, 8-10, Reds at Brewers, Bally Sports, Ohio. Let's go. Let's get it.
It's Raya. That's how I say
Raya.
it. It might be Ray. I don't care. If you spell your name R-E-A, it's Raya for me.
I think it's Ray.
It is Ray. I'm saying it's Ray. That's how his family wants it announced, but we don't show any respect on this show for the Brewers.
Especially the Brewers.
No, I'm done with the respect for the Brewers. I'm mispronouncing all their names. I'm sick and tired of hearing about how good their pitching staff is. I'm showing no respect because I've showed respect before. I've asked for one single win multiple times in those series, and all I've gotten is one win or zero. I'm done with it. I want to sweep. I want to take them down completely. Mow them over. Make Bud Selig never want to watch their franchise again. Do you think he watches that franchise?
I think Bud probably goes to bed at 6 o'clock every night.
Yeah, it's true. By the way, who thought that Bud would actually be viewed as a positive light when he left? It's a hell of a job by Rob Manfred, by the way. But you know what's funny about Rob? I actually give him credit for the rule changes and stuff because he's actually made baseball a little bit better. He's just PR-wise, he's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the actual sport, I think he's done a pretty good job. He's just such a shill for the owners that he's just gonna look dumb, and that's his job. His job is to look dumb for the owners. That's what he gets paid to do. So, but in terms of what he's done for the actual sport, I think he's actually done a pretty good job for the actual sport overall. It's just he looks like an idiot because he's paid to look like an idiot.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, Nick. You know what time it is. You got another pillow back there that's interesting. Not sure what that is.
Can you see it? I don't think you can see it on the that is a Cavs pillow. A Cavs Christmas pillow.
Oh yeah. The graphics cover it. You're right. I can see it on my screen, but I can't see it on there. Okay, fair enough. I'll give the people what they want. Nice. That's a hell of a reveal by you.
Well, when you get 5 in a row, you really start, you start doing it. There you go.
Look at that. Nick on Nick crime. Back. Pevin, you throwing that pillow makes me laugh. That shit's funny. That's actually funny. That's a good bit by you. I don't know if you meant to do that, but that's funny. All right. I got to talk to you. This is a serious moment. We have no choice but to storm into Milwaukee and to take them down. Completely. Well, this isn't a game. We're talking about our lives. We're going to go into Milwaukee and steamroll them. Not one, not two, 3 times. 3 straight times. I'm tired of hearing about how good they are. I'm tired. Well, first of all, let's start there. They're not that good. They have decent pitching. Have you seen their lineup? You want to talk about cheese? It's basically Swiss cheese. There's holes all over. But as always, I'm going to dunk a basketball. And I got plans to dunk one on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thanks for watching this dumb show. I'm going to go dunk a basketball. Go Reds. Athlete.